Hey, what's up, guys? Sam here, kicking off the 9:30 for 10/22/25. Good to see you, folks. Hope you're having a Beyond Meat kind of day. You don't get to say that very often. Beyond Meat kind of day. All right, bear with me just a second here. I'm trying to decide what to do. I put on a short yesterday, and I'm trying to decide what to do with it. Oh, is SMR getting crushed? I was not aware. I was not aware of such things. What do we do here? You know what? I'm just going to take it off. Probably going to regret this. All right. So that means the SPX goes to 0 today. More than likely. Okay. Little segue there. Sorry. I had that short from yesterday, and I wasn't entirely sure what to do with it. I still think it's probably still a short, but it's gotten down to some pretty decent levels. I don't have a turn signal on it, so if I wasn't in session, I probably wouldn't have covered that. But let's dive into where we are here. So let's start with SPX. I mean, still no issues on the daily. Got its arrows back, which is really impressive, wildly impressive. I think a lot of this is just going to be a function of, what does Tesla do, right? What does Tesla do for the report today? And I think that will be kind of a big deal. I actually think it's better for Tesla to go into the report with the market down. I would prefer that rather than everybody be super giddy, because I think that sets that basically creates higher levels of expectations. There are some issues here. I mean, mostly from the inside out. From the inside out, it hasn't repaired this break here. See that break right there? And this big push up has been happening on a negative orientation there. So it really can't handle much of a arrow here. But overall, I mean, it's just neutral. So it's not that big of a deal. The weekly chart is obviously still very good. The daily squeeze histogram has certainly developed very nicely. That's starting to look decent. So I don't necessarily think it's all that relevant what happens today unless it really gets out of control. I think it would probably have to get below. I'm just going to give you 660. I think the actual number is 6668, but I'm going to give you 660 here, 6660. If it gets below there, I think it starts to shift the conversation considerably. But I think all this kind of machination back and forth here is not that big of a deal so far. I don't see that big of a deal on that. So we got 3 trades open together. First of which is TLT. So TLT is it's always a little bit of a kind of mental battle as to what to do with this guy because the target is 94, but I always have a little bit of a hard time trusting bonds. I have a little bit of a hard time trusting bonds just because on a day like today, I would imagine they should be a little bit more firm. Yesterday, the market was relatively strong and bonds were firm. And today, the market's weak and bonds are, I mean, it's basically flat, but, it's definitely given back the open here. So I don't really see anything to change here quite just yet. Everything's still aligned decently well here. Max bull, max bull. So I don't see any reason to do anything there. The Tesla trade we have is for the report, and I'm very happy with the structure of it because I way undershot the expected move, and I did that on purpose. So it's a broken wing butterfly looking for 450, and Tesla's expected move is 30 bucks. So I wildly undershot the expected move, which is good because imagine if I had like the 500 butterflies for today or for this Friday. Like that's a little unreasonable. But the broken wing strategy here targeting 450 makes sense to me. So from a strategy perspective, I actually really like this strategy. I actually think trading earnings would be it would be a lot more tolerable doing it this way because there's no upside risk. There's obviously downside risk. And if Tesla holds or basically goes up less than the expected move, which is most often what will happen, just probabilistically speaking, then the trade works as well. So I like the strategy here, but Tesla's going to have to say nice things today. And from a indicator perspective, the strategy plus the setup is good, but we will see how earnings does. It looks like, oh, that's the estimate. Never mind. Okay. I was like, dude, how do they already have their earnings? Never mind. So on Tesla, it is max bull. The squeeze doesn't look great. Has a little bit of a downward bias to it. But I don't think any of this matters until Elon talks about his robot. So I don't see anything to change there on Tesla. And I actually really do like the strategy. If I was out of the money with it, it would be considerably less cool. And then we got this guy. And I thought I was getting nuclear on a discount, but then the entire momentum space decided to die collectively. So don't feel too bad because there's lots of shared misery here. Oklo died, MP died, SMR died. They're all dead. And they're trading in a way as if they're never, ever, ever going to bounce again, which is pretty fascinating. So there's absolutely nothing to do with this one for me. Like, keep in mind, this stock moves huge, right? I should tell you this. This stock moves massive. So I did add to it today. I did for 50 cents, added 2 for every one that I had, which got my average cost down to 133. And there has been no bounce at all in this. Like it fell, had a bear flag, fell, bear flag, fell, and then just nothing, right? So this is all trading as one basket here. Not that makes it better, but that is just something to always be aware of. And it's kind of funny because I liked MP from 70 to 100. And then when folks asked me about it again, I was like, yeah, let's not trade MP again because MP's 2 in the news. And it turns out that basically it's all one thing. So whether you got MP or whether you got Oklo here, I didn't think, Oklo is not, the centerpiece of the tweet storm or whatever. And Oklo's down a healthy amount and basically in free fall. I think JC actually called this one yesterday. You guys should have got some puts. I don't know if he did or didn't, but I remember watching his session yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah, this stock looks like it's about to collapse." And I was like, "I don't love the way that sounds, considering I'm an SMR, and they're cousins." But here it is. There's the collapse. So turns out he was right. Now let's go back here to SMR and let's learn a lesson here. Yeah, SMR also got triple downgrades today. I think there was 3 downgrades today on it. The only saving grace is that Jim Cramer says that he doesn't like Oklo anymore. So that is a saving grace. That means that Oklo could be limit up tomorrow. So if I look at this chart, let's see how well you guys can read the indicators, because there was a mistake here by me, and it's a very simple one. So let me see who can get this correct. I was buying SMR based on the fact that it had a weekly max bull. Now, of course, that is completely eradicated at this point, but the weekly max bull was there. Okay, weekly max bull. Then you look at the daily. Does the daily confirm anything of the matter of the sort? Well, no. Look at all these. Every one of these bars is gray, right? Notice that that pop is gray, that pop is gray, that pop is gray. Pretty cool, because look at that. Every gray pop has given it pretty much all back. Okay. So if I'm trying to buy something, and mind you, I'm not buying it up here. I bought it. Where did I buy it? Here. So I bought it here. Okay. I'm buying a gray chart. Let's look inside of the thing. Where do you see the mistake? Do you see a mistake here? And it'll be found on the 3rd panel. What's the mistake here? The mistake has to do with patience. What's the mistake? Somebody take a shot. It's an easy answer. What's the mistake in buying a neutral daily chart when the hourly looks like that? Okay, just in the sake of moving on. Come on, guys. You guys got to participate here. There's 100 of you in here. You're in bear slingshot from way up here. Right. So you got bear slingshot right here. See where the bar goes from dark green to light green, and that lights up bear slingshot. Okay. I've told you this is the most powerful signal I can offer you with this indicator. It's actually, it moves more than squeezes in oftentimes. Now if you compare it with a squeeze, even better, but it moves big with squeezes. So bear slingshot kicks in here. What do you see after that? Arrow, 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 arrow. Okay. That's okay. So let's say that one of you were to have brought me up this chart. What would I tell you to do? I would say, okay, well, I don't know where support is when it's neutral, right? When it's neutral, usually support is found like at highs and lows, structure. So what do you need to see? You want to see it get to a previous high or low. So let's kind of go back here for a second. This is where I bought it. So that's kind of a previous high and a previous low, right? Okay. I have a level, check. Level momentum trigger. I have a level. Do I have the right momentum here? No. Bear slingshot is still active, and an arrow is easy enough, right? Just wait for that damn arrow. So I jumped the gun. I thought that this space was relatively okay, especially after a pretty deep pullback off the highs. I did it against a level, which was right around 44 where I got in, but I never had the internal momentum to justify the entry. And if I were to be still following that process, now we're down $9 from the entry on the underlying, and I still do not have the arrow. So it would still be a patience game. And the thing is, I don't know how low this goes, right? This could go to 0, and this never gives me an arrow, right? But it's simple enough. Easier said than done sometimes. Patience is the hard part. Wait for the damn arrow against a support level. It'll save you some cashola. So that's where I be with SMR, but there's nothing to do with it. There's nothing to do with it. It fell too hard too fast. Oftentimes, I'll have an opportunity to kind of move around with the trade and whatnot, but in this case, it's super high interest, super high short interest stock. The entire basket of high short interest stocks got absolutely smashed. So I just ride that one and see what it can do, but I am not optimistic about it. And even the 50-cent edition, it's now going for 30 cents. So even my edition was not great. So that's where we are on that. And I got out of my short way too soon. So I know when I'm not going to be trading the rest of the day. And I think that is a sign right there, because I just looked back at the short that I closed earlier, and now it's up 50% higher from where I closed it. So I am just going to be in waiting mode for today. I have a sign on my desk. It says fully focused or fully flat. And I plan on following that sign today. The other one I was looking at, and we still have a kind of an open working order on it, was Crowd. And I didn't know the right price for it. Easy enough, I suppose. This is a buy. That's a buy. This, wait for the arrow. So if you didn't get in on that arrow, think of it like a bus, right? The bus comes, the bus goes, the bus comes, the bus goes, right? You want to try to catch the bus here. If you're trying to catch the bus here, usually that's when the bus is going the other direction. So if this is the bus's daily schedule, where are we in the process? Well, probably closer to here, right? Now, the bus doesn't have to come all the way back down to the very bottom either, right? I don't actually care where it happens, and actually the strongest signal would happen before the bus comes to the bottom. So if the bus is able to pull in, stay above the midline, and catch an arrow, that's the buy signal. I'll get in on Crowd. Now, before I mentally commit to Crowd, let me look at its brother, Pandubs. And see which one is better. So Pandubs has, let's just do it this way, just to keep things simple, because it's kind of difficult if you don't have a scoring system or at least some very fast way of ranking stuff. But let's just do it this way, because we're comparing apples to apples, so it's easy enough. It's 50, 125, right? I think that's fair. 50, 125. So what is that? 175. 175 total is our score. Combined weekly, daily, hourly, right? 175. Okay. The number we have to beat on Crowd, 175. Even on this pop, my short is still my exit on that short is still trash. NQ's popping where I thought it would, but my exit on that short was still terrible. All right, so we have to beat 175, and it looks like this is going to do it. So it's going to be Crowd for me at least, because in this case it's 190. Just between these two, you already end up with 190. And then if you add the weekly, it's 215. Not that it matters. So for me, it would be Crowd. but it doesn't really matter. I think they'll move the same. So crowd has a better score and has a squeeze. So that would be the play, at least for me. Now, I could kind of step in and just front run the signal, but we all saw what happened there with SMR. So I'll be a good boy on this one. If you guys have the indicator, just maybe ping me if you're watching this one too, because I can't just sit here and watch it all day necessarily. But what would be cool if I had an alert that would give me an alert via email or text when the arrow pops up. But the arrow popping up here on the hourly crowd is the signal to get in. So simple enough. And aside from that, that's kind of what I got. That's kind of what I got. So I'll turn it over to you guys because I don't have anything else. I think, at least for me, I'm just waiting on the Tesla report here to see what happens next. I love the strategy on it. I really do. If you have any questions on it, I think it's a really cool strategy that we're doing to undershoot the expected move. So in a way, it plays like a put credit spread, it plays like a condor, and it plays like a butterfly all at once with no upside risk. So I do like the strategy, but I can't guarantee you that Tesla will not be at $200 tomorrow. So I will turn it over to you fine folks. There was something I wanted some help with, but I'll take some questions first. I wanted you guys to help me with making a sector list that's a little bit more outside of the big sectors. So, of course, we all know about financials and XLK and SMH and XLC and XLY, XLI, all the rest. But I wanted to make a sector list that we could review very quickly that has kind of like offshoot stuff. So, things like uranium, URA, ITA for defense. The thing is, I don't know a lot of these off the top of my head. So, I was hoping you guys could help me out with that. So I'll take some questions. If you have any suggestions for that, throw it in the chat. I'm kind of looking for big sectors. Like I would need one for like quantum would be another one. Like basically niche sectors. So the only two that I could think of immediately were URA for uranium, ITA for aerospace and defense. If there's one for outer space, like Rocket Lab and all the other companies like that, that would be good. If there's one for robotics, that would be good. Really just niche things like that. Cannabis, I suppose, would be one. Not a big one, but it would count. So I'm going to go through the chat here, see if you guys have anything to look at. And we will go from there. Good to see you, Tim and Sabrina, Mitch, Bill, Jason, Esther, Odie in the house. Dwayne, good to see you. You have puts in IWM. I don't have signals for puts in IWM. I don't think I do, at least. Let me look at it. Last I looked at IWM, is actually one of the stronger one of the stronger indexes. Pretty big bounce here coming into the Qs. I had a good level there. I mean, I had a good level. I'm just not entirely sure how this short that I covered earlier. Now it's finally below the price where I covered it. But it went like 50% more than I thought it would. You have puts in IWM. Well, as somebody who has SMR, which is an IWM component, I would prefer that they don't work for you, or at least not for a month. Yeah, I don't really see anything to do here on IWM. You're at support below 243. I think it basically snaps to the lows, below the lows, and of course you start to have some problems. But this should be the spot where it holds. Usually, at least, this would be the spot where it holds. GEV getting annihilated after squeezing. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good sign, right? When a lot of the stocks under the market are getting absolutely crushed, but the index itself stays strong. To be fair, this one was off for a while. So it's not like this one was that good to begin with because and here's what's cool about it. I actually just finished the indicator this morning. I sent the changes to be published. I don't know when they'll be published, but probably by the end of the month sometime. Actually, yeah, probably by the end of the month. But what's cool about it is you can kind of look back and see like all of this, it was good, and then it goes into this period here. But really, the main issue that it had is this right here. You see how all of this action up here at these highs is occurring with the indicator in a negative orientation. Now, of course, that's just, you can just simplify that and just say this is a lot of gray candles with a squeeze pointing lower. So this is actually kind of par for the course. To be fair, though, I mean, freaking Aquila is getting annihilated. Like this is down 8, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but on a percentage basis, it's actually down less than Aquila, which is kind of a small slap in the face. Just a small one. Big volume here. Really big volume on the indexes. Kind of interesting, actually. Kind of feels like there's like something going on, like Fed or something's going on because the volume is really big. You added SMR. Please note there's a report yesterday that SMR as an alternative to energy needs is not enough. So here's the thing: all this stuff is just one thing, right? Like if you recall on the MP trade in the Friday video that I made as a follow up to it last Friday, um, I was like, yeah, let's not trade MP again. So let's look at MP. I was like, let's not trade MP again because it's too newsy, right? The reason it shot up so hard is because of the Trump tweet around rare earths, and then of course, he's going to taco almost immediately. He tacos, which is just it should be expected now. Um, it'd be a really good meme for the other side. You know how he's been memeing them on AI. If they had a meme of him turning into a taco, that would be a really good meme and quite insulting. Um, and so what happened here? Well, you had this great breakout pattern, but look how this stuff trades, right? Like it's like bang, bang, bang. And if you're not in it, it went from 100 and now it's in a bear market. It's back below where I told you to buy it the first time. I told you to get it at 70. If you remember, I told you here, wait for 70. 70 was the low. From 70 it goes right to 100, and now it's back below 70, right? So what's really funny is from here to here in just a couple of days, it's in a bear market. 30% down, it's a bear market. But here's kind of my point with this. You're mentioning SMR and kind of this like story or whatever that's coming around. All of that really doesn't matter. What's important is all this stuff is just one thing. So let me give you an example that I think makes it clear. I'll go into my toss, or excuse me, my tasty. I'm going to organize by the stocks getting hit the hardest. So at the top, I have Galaxy, followed by Oklo. Love to see it. And then ASTS. ASTS, I think, is like a space company. It's like a space taxi or something, kind of rocket company or something. Okay, so this one looks almost identical to MP and to SMR, right? What does this have to do with SMR? Nothing, right? These are two completely different industries. All right, another one that I see, RR, right? This one's a robotics company, right? See how it's following the same patterns? So this one's getting smashed. What does this one have to do with the first two? Nothing. Right. So the point being is all this stuff is basically just one basket of stuff. Right. That's why it all shoots a higher together and shoots lower together. The reason I bring that up and made a point about it is because, and some folks don't like this. Like I get, like I feel like some folks really just don't like this, and then some folks will really resonate with what I'm about to say. There's always going to be a reason, in quotations. There's always a reason for things, but in reality, markets move because of liquidity, right? It's like, oh, now it's overvalued. Oh, now it's this. Well, no, it's a liquidity issue. It's a basket issue. It's an indexing issue. So it'll be very funny because let's say Okla's up 20% tomorrow. If Okla's up 20% tomorrow, I can guarantee you almost that RR, which is a robotics company, will also be up, and the quantum stocks will also be up, et cetera, et cetera. Is it possible to scan for bullet bear slingshot? Yeah, it's built into the class. If you remember, I just changed the name. The concept that I taught in the class is the exact same. It's just I changed it from bull judo, which I prefer bull judo. I I just think slingshot makes it more visually easy to understand. But yeah, there's a scan for that, and it was given to you in the class. So you go over here to scan, and you go here and you load the scan. Yeah, Microsoft's actually one we have to look at. That one's actually set up. It's not quite there yet. I don't know, think it's my favorite, but it is starting to set up. And so you just look for Bull Judo. So this is daily Bull Judo. Let's just run it to see what happens. You got Google. Hmm. Yeah, Google's had a lot of intraday volatility lately, today and yesterday. It still looks great though. Still looks really good. Google and Tesla are the best two big stocks I see. I don't know if I would count Crowd as a big stock necessarily, but Crowd might be up there as well. So this is the result of the bull slingshot. You'll probably find more bear slingshot right now. These are pretty middling companies, but yeah, there is a scan for it. Is it time to play inverse gold funds? That's not really going to be my bag. I think that's a little cute. Also, it's already had a gigantic move. Let's actually go back to this for a second. Let's look at it with gold futures. If you recall, somebody asked about what to do with the gold trade that they were probably in, and I had given them the level of the tree line here. It will populate eventually. And we had an extensive conversation around perceived risk to reward. It was right here. It was the conversation was let's say that this was your target, which is usually a pretty good target, right? Like the tree lines and fire lines tend to be, especially ones that are this seemingly far out, right? Like if I had told you just 3 months ago to target this 4343 tree line back here 3 months ago, that would have sounded crazy. And then, it got to it immediately. But the conversation came up. Gold was like right here somewhere. And I was like, well, if this is if this would be your target, 4343, it might be time to scale because you'll probably never sell the top or buy the bottom. You can trade your whole life and never sell the top or buy the bottom. If you do, it's oftentimes just by pure luck. That's not the game though, right? The game is to be able to using your best judgment and process to be able to judge risk to reward relative to the position that you're in. So let's say that your target was 4343 and you're right here where the circle is that amount of potential reward worth, this amount of potential risk? And oftentimes the answer is no, right? So the idea is, well, you might leave the last 5% on the table. And again, you're going to say, well, how do you know? Well, you don't know. That's your entire job, is to continuously try to estimate and gauge this stuff based on the available tools that you have. But let's say you have 5% upside and then, potentially 20% downside. At that point, the trade flops, right? It flip flops. So did I expect gold to get creamed this hard? No, but it did hit the objective. That it did. Let's take a look at that Google. Yeah, Google and Tesla are the two best things I see. Big things I see, at least. From a directional perspective, I mean, I don't want to put any limits on it, but I'd be pretty surprised to see a huge run into the report here. But I suppose it is 7 days away. Yeah, I mean, it still looks quite good. No issues at all. All right. So to me, the market right now is just in basically a holding pattern with the potential for a slip. But I think that some rather large company is reporting after the bell, which matters much more than Netflix. And there would be some level of beautiful irony if Netflix drops while Tesla pops, which would tickle me just right. All right, so let's do this real quick because I don't have anything else new for you. I think for me, my trading day is done. I know when I'm beat. You ever have that feeling? You just when you're beat, but you don't walk away, and then you end up doing some stupid things. So I'm going to prevent that by walking away today and just coming back for the report on Tesla. Did I get a dog to walk yet? No, no dog. No dog. So I kindly ask for your favor here. So if you can, give me a couple of sector ETFs that you know about that are niche. So I'm looking for like URA, ITA, maybe MSOS, although significantly less, but let's just go with it. So I'm looking for the biggest alternative sector ETFs, right? So URA is one, right? That one's uranium. ITA is another. That one is aerospace. MSOS is weed. Hack is a good one, I think. TAN would be a good one. Thank you. What's NVTX? I've never heard of that one. NVTX. Cloud will be a good one too. NVTX. No, this doesn't work for me. It's a levered ETF on NVTS. I don't even know what that is. Cloud works. Buzz. Jets. Jets kind of reminds me a little bit of ITA, but I think the Jets might be. Is it airlines? Let's just go with it. Quantum. Is that one? Is that a ETF? QUT. Okay, that'll work. The China ETFs, I have them in a different place. So I have China ETFs under the big sectors. I wouldn't consider China niche. They're a little bit too big to be niche. So I put them into like the actual sectors ETF. All right, we got room for two more. You guys have helped me pretty quickly, so I appreciate it. XAR, I don't know what that is, but let's look at it. Aerospace defense. So I think I already have that one. Let me do this. I'll break the tie with volume because I don't know whether XAR or ITA is the bigger one, but there's no need to have both of them. So let me look at the volume here. I've never heard of XAR. I've heard of ITA. So this one trades 162,000 per day. It's probably not going to make the cut. ITA is probably at least 1 million. Not quite, but it's so I'm going to go with the more liquid one. IGV actually already have it as a sector, so I think IGV is a good one, but that one's a little bit too big. It's not niche enough. It's almost like IGV is almost kind of like an XLK kind of situation. All right, if we can find two more, then we can move on. TPYP. Do you guys know of any space ETFs? Like things that would have like pipeline ETF. That one's probably a little bit too much like OIH, so I'm going to pass on that one because I don't know what that is. FFTY. Innovator. I think this is a little too close to ARK, but I'll go ahead and put it for now. FFTY. I appreciate your help, by the way. You guys are like a faster version of ChatGPT. I would need just the right prompt to get it to give me the answer to this. Okay, so this one works for space, and it's liquid enough. ArcX. Okay, let me look at UFO as a good ticker. I always enjoy a good, funny ETF. My favorite one is still Moo, MOO. Give me 1,000 shares of Moo. Okay, I'll jot this one down. You guys gave me a few space ones. I'll have to go through them individually and see which one is the biggest. I would imagine the ARC one is, but I'll jot down UFO here and then go back and check on it. I'll also go back and check on DXYZ. It's a new one. And pick. What is pick? Metal and mining production. I think that one's maybe too close to XME. But actually, I wouldn't mind having XME. So XME would be it. Okay, so I think this is good enough. This kind of captures the spirit. And then as I go through, if I find things that I don't really care for, like I don't really care about weed, so I'll probably just dump that one because I don't care about weed. But the rest of these are things that I would typically like to look at. So I appreciate your help. That was certainly helpful. And now let me save it. And I do have to say, I'm not a big fan of the way the market is relatively stable on the index side of things. But inside the index, I see a lot of carnage. It doesn't usually work out great. All right, so I'm still not seeing really anything to do. There would have been a short there against the level, but I was too busy blabbing away. But if you go into the first test of a cloud with red bars is a short, especially when the cloud has the VWAP. So you see how the cloud is here, the VWAP is there, and you go into it with red bars. That is a short. That's actually a pretty clean short. Then you just put the stop above that. So it doesn't mean it always works, but it gives you a lot of edge, and you stop it out there. At this exact juncture in time, I mean, I don't really have anything here that's worth getting into. At least not anything long that I'm seeing. And I would be pretty surprised if that were to change today, just because why take risk before Tesla? And if you go to the internals here, I mean, the advanced decline looks like, it doesn't look good. The moving averages here on the ticks are terrible. So this is actually a huge function of the terrible underlying structure of this market. You see how the moving averages here on the ticks are just like drilling, and they're almost both below zero. That's not great for. Basically, that means like just a very small handful of stocks are holding things up. So that's a really unstable signal there. This is an unstable signal here. Yeah. It's a day trade short or nothing here. It's a day trade short or nothing. Tesla down 10 is pretty impressive. All right. So that's what I got, folks. Very exciting stuff. The only thing from an actionable perspective for me would that crowd trade or the crowd setup at least, waiting on an hourly buy arrow and then getting in there. But lesson learned from SMR is just to wait on the indicator to tell you what to do. So I'm going to see if there's anything else here that's on my list. Nope, everything's good. Actually, I do have a question for y'all. So yesterday, John was talking about deleting the user GUI file to make TOS faster. If you do that, doesn't it erase all of your settings in TOS? Right? Because that's where your, isn't that where your settings are stored? So like it'll erase your, like all your custom sizing and all that stuff. It doesn't do that. So what, okay. So it doesn't affect your charts and it doesn't affect your settings. So, okay. Well, I guess then I'll do it. I wasn't, I swear last time I deleted it deleted my entire settings profile. So I'll do that after my session today. I guess what I'll do actually is just probably copy and paste it onto my desktop and then delete it. And then that way I have a copy just in case something funky happens. Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And because I'm a glutton for punishment, let me check on my short that I covered. And it's now up 100% from where I covered it. Good trading, Sam. We love that. We love that. So this sounds unusual, but I would say this is actually probably the biggest bit of gold that I can offer you on a day like today is recognize when you're off and don't dig. Don't dig. Because there was a point where I would have been a younger man and I would have said, "Oh man, I got out of my short. Now it's up 100% more than where I closed it. After this, I'm gonna go all balls to the wall on some ES, right? Like screw the micros. I'm pissed off. I'm going to ES, multiple lots, and that's fine as if your head is clear and if you're seeing the market right. But jot this down. I'll put it into a fortune cookie size morsel for you. Maybe consider writing this down, putting it on your desk as well. Fully focused or fully flat. All right. Oh, is there a rare earth metal ETF? REMX. Okay, I'll check that one out. It's good to know. XAR contains the short squeeze names. ITA has the conventional aerospace. Okay, that's good to know too. So I'll do a little bit of research on that. Okay, appreciate it, guys. Yeah, you guys are awesome because I mean I could have probably found all this stuff out, but I would need a very good prompt to get exactly what I would be looking for from ChatGPT. So the human element wins again. All right, last question I think is on Netflix. Now, excuse me as I chuckle at Netflix's misfortune, as I do share the same belief as others. What's funny is I have access to Netflix for free, and I don't even bother signing in. I did not see that Netflix had so many squeezes. This is a lot of squeezes. How did I miss this? That Netflix had squeezes from a 2-day to the weekly. Holy smokes. Well, hopefully you can see why Netflix is a problem, right? I think it's really like once you guys get the update, and even for those of you that have no interest in ever, doing any, ever getting a new indicator, and you're using free stuff, MACD, slow stochastic, RSI, whatever it is that you use, it doesn't matter. I want you to just pay attention to this. Look how clean this is, because the potential here that Netflix goes up instead of down after the report is actually relatively low. Now, of course, it is going more than the expected move, so that is, the wrinkle in this conversation. But check this out. And this actually reminds me a lot of Lily, and to another extent, actually, the other one that I mentioned that I did have a beat on was Carvana as a short. Carvana has a even worse pattern than this. But check this out. You see how Netflix actually broke here? And look at the squeeze histogram, even before today, right? This thing had, look at all the damage here on the weekly chart. So this is kind of like the Wile E. Coyote kind of situation, um, where he has run off the cliff, but he doesn't fall right away. If you remember the Wile E. Coyote cartoons, he runs off the cliff. But what happens? He floats in midair, right? And then the Roadrunner goes meep meep, and then he it's not until he looks down that he falls. And then it's really funny. This is kind of the same situation. Same thing happened here, right? So this entire structure was pretty much unstable. At this point, I don't really know. I mean, you're down to the weekly 200, so there is that. But you also have like bear slingshot. You have an unfinished squeeze here. You have multiple squeezes on the back of this. It's going to be pretty difficult here for Netflix to kind of shake this off very quickly, in my opinion. So, well, actually, let me take that back. One of two things has to happen here. Either A, Netflix, very soon starts to say F this and goes immediately back up, lower probability, or B, it kind of chops around the 200 here and then finishes its move at some point later on, because this is still unfinished. So this is actually, believe it or not, this is actually still Wile E. Coyote floating in midair, and he has not yet looked down. So the only way to save this at this point is to have a massive spike up, but I don't see anything I want to do here on it. I don't want to short it here at this level, and I don't have any reason to buy it. So I don't really see anything I want to do with it. I would actually not be surprised at all to see this kind of, be one of these guys, break the floor, and then you have to kind of come back down to like 1050 or something, previous support. All right, folks. Well, that is my time. So I appreciate all your help today. Again, I'll leave you with the one bit of gold that I could give you on a day where SMR is kicking me in the balls, and that is fully focused or fully flat. I really can't stress how important that is. Somebody can teach you how to read a chart. Somebody can teach you all about your fundamentals and this, that, or the other. But remember, the long game is always a psychological game. So any steps forward that you can make in that game, the better you are. All right, guys, that's my time. Catch you tomorrow. Cheers.